Imagine growing up, and no one is watching. Not because something went wrong. Not because you were invisible. Just because no one thought to look. That's not a metaphor, that was childhood for an entire generation. They were born between 1965 and 1980, about 65 million people. And somehow, in a culture obsessed with labels, they became the one generation without one. This is Generation X, and this is the psychology of why everyone forgot them. They were the original, latchkey kids. They came home to empty houses, let themselves in, made their own snacks, solved their own problems, no constant supervision, no curated childhood, no one documenting their feelings. They learned independence early. Not because it was trendy, because it was necessary. They were born to boomers, a generation that dominated politics, culture, and media. Then came millennials, studied, debated, criticized, analyzed endlessly. Gen X landed in between, and in psychology, there's a pattern for that. When two louder groups surround a quieter one, the quiet one disappears from the story. Not erased, just skipped. Divorce rates surged during their childhood, dual-income households became normal, economic uncertainty hovered in the background. The message was subtle but constant. Figure it out. And they did. That's the part people misunderstand. Gen X didn't collapse under pressure. They adapted to it. They became self-reliant, pragmatic, emotionally contained. But here's the twist. The internet rewards broadcasting your struggles. Gen X was trained to absorb theirs. Other generations turned anxiety into identity, turned struggle into language, turned vulnerability into visibility. Gen X turned pain into dry humor and moved on. It helped them survive. It did not help them be seen. There's a psychological cost to that kind of invisibility. When people feel culturally unseen, not reflected in media, policy, or conversation, it chips away at meaning. You start to wonder, does my story matter? Did anyone notice? And yet, look around. Gen X built quietly. They helped create the early internet. They shaped modern tech culture. They influenced music, film, and independent media. They were there for the shift from analog to digital, from landlines to smartphones, from privacy to performance. They bridged two worlds. And no one made it their brand. Today, most Gen Zers are in midlife. They're caring for aging parents, supporting adult children, holding leadership positions without fanfare. They are sandwiched again. Responsible for both ends of the tagline. Still not the headline. Maybe the reason we forgot Gen X is because they never demanded to be remembered. They didn't build their identity around generational trauma. They didn't ask for constant validation. They didn't center themselves in every conversation. They just handled it. Quietly. There's something admirable about that. But, admirable shouldn't mean invisible. Every generation carries wounds. Gen X just carried theirs without announcing it. So the next time the conversation jumps from boomers, to millennials, to Gen Z, pause. Think about the generation in the middle. The one that raised itself. The one that built things. The one that never asked you to look. And ask yourself something uncomfortable. Did we forget them, or did we only learn to notice the loudest voices? 65 million people. Still here. Still not asking for applause.